welcome to Scrap Time. My name is Christine, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the 12 new Distress Oxide Ink colors. So Ranger surprised us by releasing 12 more Distress Oxide colors, and these are a lot of colors that are great for the summer. These are available now. I purchased mine through Simon Says Stamp, so you can purchase them, and I've already had them shipped, so they're ready to go. Your only problem would be if they're sold out. But I'll put links below to where you can buy them. So they released Wild Honey, Candied Apple, Seedless Preserves, Picked Raspberry, Twisted Citron, Salty Ocean, Black Soot, Lucky Clover, Frayed Burlap, Peacock Feathers, Abandoned Coral, and Antique Linen. So these are a lot of my personal favorite colors, and the addition of black is really fun. And then depending on their next release, Tim had picked Candy Apple and Lucky Clover for your holiday crafting. So if you want to get a jump on that, you have your red and your green. So let me show you some things I made using these inks. I'm going to just move those up there because we're going to come back to them. So my favorite way to use them is by putting them on my mat, spritzing, and then putting my card in and layering them. And you can see some really great looks you can get, and how many colors we have on this card here, and with the colors layered on top. So when you use your Distress inks, your colors will blend into one another, whereas when you use the oxide, it's a combination of ink and pigment. Your colors will sit on one another. So that is the difference between the two. So I'll just go through some of my cards here. This one here, I had used black on the base, but there's like some pink sitting on top, and yellow and green, and all these little splatters and layers on top of the black. This one is just a little simpler, not as many colors. You don't have to go super crazy. This was a dark one that I put some colors on top of. Another multicolored. And this was just another simple one. And you'll notice in some of these I have white space, and I like that as well. I don't necessarily always want it completely covered. Even this one has a little bit of white poking through in that. So you can go either way. You completely cover it or leaving some white space. Both ways look nice. So I'm just going to show you this technique. So bring my colors a little closer to me again. I'll separate them so I can reach them. Okay, and just for fun, I'm going to start with some black soot, just to show you the look it gives. So I'm going to put some black soot down, and then I'm going to pair it with a couple lighter colors, or maybe not, I don't know. I'm going to put some Picked Raspberry, and I think actually I'm going to do Twisted Citron. So I just made some swipes there, and now I'm coming in and just spritzing. And when you spritz it, you can see how it turns sort of pastel-y versus the true, like the bright color. So I have watercolor cards here, and I'm just going to dip it in for this one. So I have some sort of stripy looks going on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to dip it in again and sort of swish it around. I'm going to do the drying off camera just because I don't think you want to sit and watch nothing. When you dry it, nothing reacts, so you're not missing anything by missing the drying. Okay, that's dried enough. I just wanted to do it so the colors wouldn't blend together. I'm going to just give them a little bit more water. So now I'm going to swish it around, and these colors might blend a bit. So there we have more of that background covered like that. So I'm going to, for now, just set this aside and move to another card. This is completely blank. Because we have all this color still on here, it's fun to just pick it up and start another card. So when I'm doing this, I will make, like all those cards I showed you before, I had made in one go. So you can see right there we have another cool background. I can set that aside, and now I'm going to wipe this up because colors start to blend too much. So you want to keep working on your layers. So let's do a fun bright one. Okay, I've used Pick Raspberry. You can tell I'm going to go to Pick Raspberry all the time, but I want to show you some of the other colors. So how about we use Abandoned Coral. We'll use some Candied Apple. We can throw a little bit. When I use purple, I just do a little bit because purple can be very overwhelming. It's a dark color. So, and then maybe I'll do some peacock feathers. So we spritz it. And I'm going to sort of swipe through this one, blend some colors up. Ooh. So there we have, you can see there's the coral, the apple, a bit of blue, and the purple. So I'm going to give this one a dry and then go in again. Okay, so I dried that one a bit. Now I'm going to go back in. You can see there's all these droplets, and I'm just going to put it in and pick it up. And that's how we start to get those droplets of color. So I'm going to dry it again, because if you keep going in, you won't get that nice droplet. You'll start just to blend and get solid colors. So that's why it's important to dry between each time you put ink on it. So I'm going to just do it again in these same colors. And I got a few more droplets there. I'm going to put this one aside though and bring in this one here. And I'm going to put it in some of these colors. Ooh, so you can see how that color sits on top of the black. So I'm going to put this one aside, see if I can get a little bit more out of this and bring in this one and see if I can get some color to sit on top of that. Ooh, that's cool too. You have now colors layering on here. So I'm going to dry all three of these. Okay, so we still have a little bit of color here. I'm going to just see if I can pick up a bit more of it on my various cards. Ooh, that's looking good. And now I think I'm going to just swipe this up. Okay, so what colors do we still have left? We haven't used this one yet, Frayed Burlap. Antique Linen. So I think there's only 4 we haven't actually used on a card yet. So because I'm working on just 3 cards, I don't want to lay out a whole bunch more because you get the really thick. I'm just looking for some droplets now. So what I like to do when I'm just looking for droplets is just put a little bit of the ink down. You don't want to put too much down because I only want the droplets. I don't want it to be like really thick. So I'm just going to dab my card in, and I got some more color on there. Now the other thing we can do before we add in the other colors is I'm going to bring these up. At this point, I like to just go with my spritz bottle and just lightly put little spritzes on it. And this will lift some of that color to give it dimension without adding more color. So if I do that, then I come back in with my paper towel to dry it. You can see, especially here in the dark areas, how I'm lifting that color. So I like to do this a couple times. So it's sort of in the middle of the project, and then maybe later in it. So put those aside again. I think I'll put a little bit more wild honey down for the other cards. And dip this one in. Got a bit of yellow on there. A little yellow on there. So I should dry these before the next color. Next up, we have some Lucky Clover. Again, just a little bit there, a little spritz. And which card do we want to start with? This one here, I have a lot of white, so maybe I think I'm going to put some green down here. And it's just a quick tap. Because it was full, I'm getting a more than just the little dots because it was just newly put down. If that's there. And then so there's some green on there. Now we have smaller dots, so I can just sort of put the card to soak it up, and the green sort of went on there. Like that. Put those aside, wipe this up. Let's bring in Antique Linen. Spritz. And I'm going to take this card. You can see now we have that lighter color on top. So now, since all three cards have gotten some ink, I have to dry them again. So here we are so far, and we have one final ink to play with, the Frayed Burlap. So put down a bit of that, spritz it up. Now we know that the first spritz, it's going to give us the most because there's the most ink. So I'm going to see if on this one I can just quickly touch it. But you can see on that first one I got the biggest blotch there. Whereas now you might get a bit less because there's less ink to pick up. So here I just got a few. Let me pick up the rest with this. So there, let me wipe this. So here are the three cards. We used basically all the new colors. And depending, I mean, as you saw from the earlier ones too, you can get bright, really bright cards. You can get darker cards. Every card will be completely different. And that's what's the fun thing about working with the Distress Oxides, is the power to layer your colors on top of one another. And then as more water gets added, you'll see that the colors oxide and turn that sort of whitish color too. So be sure to pick up the latest colors of Distress Oxide. As I said, I'll put links below as to where you can buy them, and they are for sale now. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. In the meantime, here are a couple other videos you might be interested in watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.